I don't really have the required skills, I don't really have a plan, but I have some really creative ideas. And I think that's most important because I feel like everything else we can learn along the way. Today I'm getting my toolbox out, or well, it's a tool bag, so already a great start. And we're going to do a DIY light stand. Craft. 50-minute craft, they call me. Actually, nobody's ever called me that, but I think that should be my new channel. 50-minute craft, because there's no bloody way that I'm gonna get this done in 5 minutes today. Even though I already have a head start. We do not need to build the light stand from scratch, because last year I already lived my DIY fantasy in putting a plant stand together. The one you can see in the corner over there. Don't worry, I'll bring you closer in a sec. But let's get on the same page first and have a quick look at what I did last year to DIY that stand. Let's build a stand for my grow light. As a renter, I am not allowed to drill anything into the walls, which means I had to get creative to install this grow light properly. I'm currently hanging it from the ceiling vent, which looks, well, it just looks wrong. So I came up with this professional drawing to illustrate what I want to achieve and headed to my local Bunnings to get the materials for this DIY. The grow light comes with this mounting bracket, so the idea is to build a stand that I can drill this into instead. The mounting bracket will be screwed into the wooden pole, which I then put into a heavy decorative planter with quick-set concrete. Just to be safe, I let it sit overnight before adding the grow light. It's definitely heavy, so this won't go anywhere. I'm currently vibing a more natural aesthetic, so I topped up the pot with growing medium, making it look like any other pot. I hide the pole itself behind some leaves, and I mask the plastic bracket with rope. Leaves face the light, so the placement of the light is as important as the intensity when it comes to creating a nice, aesthetically pleasing display. Happy growing! I forgot it was that heavy. Is this even in frame? It's so big. Wow, I can't believe how dark it is in this corner. Alrighty, here it is. Now there has been another addition to it. I have just stuck a garden stake over here and then mounted a second light on it as well. And I actually think it makes sense to have two lights on here as well, because I mean it takes up the same footprint, but now I can illuminate a larger area. I don't hate it. Look, the idea over here is that it kind of seamlessly integrates with my plant collection. That's why I chosen a pot that I often use for my plants as well. I have this pot, I think, 5 times or something like that, so it does blend in. I put cocoa chips on top of it, so it actually just looks like substrate, and then this wooden pole, I felt like, matched my couch, and I don't know if this is in frame, and this kind of tabletop over here quite nicely, so it kind of works. White and this sort of light wood color is kind of the theme that I've been going for. I think the top part is definitely the most questionable piece. I'm not too sure if we can do much better today, to be honest. But I definitely want to fix this sort of temporary setup over here. I kind of prefer this over this arched one, by the way. Now, let me show you something else. In the meantime, Soltec has actually produced their own plant stand. Look, I'm not saying they were inspired by me, but I mean the resemblance. Obviously it looks a little bit more elegant than the version that I have over here. But you know what? I'm actually going to use both. So I will set up a light on this over here later on. But I already have this and I don't mind it. I just want to improve on it. Knowing that they actually produce their own plant stands now, I would probably go with those as a first option, but I also don't want to throw this away, or I don't know what else to do with it. I think it works perfectly fine. It still serves its purpose, and look, it's already right here, so might as well make the best out of it, huh? But just wanted to let you know that officially there are better options now, right? And the whole idea is that it is freestanding, so I can move it around whenever I want, wherever I need it, and it is renter friendly, so I don't need to drill into the walls, which I'm not allowed to. And you know, I rearrange my plants frequently, so I move my plants around, so it's also great if I have the ability to move my lights around with my plants. Now, it's actually already months ago, to be honest. I've been planning on doing this for a long time, but I was just too lazy. But today's the day. A few months ago, I had this genius idea. I have to give myself credit here. So, I honestly thought it was genius, but let's see if it translates. I bought a swivel towel holder on Amazon. Oh, it comes with screws. That's going to be really handy. Now, the main thing that is kind of missing over here, apart from it looking terribly aesthetically, the light is kind of stuck in its position, right? So I've chosen somewhat of a 90-degree angle between those two, but maybe it would be nice with one setup to have the lights further apart, or maybe if I move it somewhere different, the lights should move closer together. Yeah, genius, I know. So I thought if I just drill this one into the wooden stake and then have one aspect light on here each, I can move them around. If I want them further apart, whoop. If I want them closer together, whoop. Right? So we are adding more flexibility. I'm all for flexibility because then it is more versatile and suits more plants, more spaces, more all sorts of things. So that's really the main thing. I want to take this off, mount this one on there instead, and then put the lights back. And I'm going to see if I can get all of this done without screaming for help. Let's find out. I don't know. Look guys, when it comes to DIYs, I have very little knowledge. I have very little skills as well, but I feel like my skill is creative problem solving. Like that swivel thingy. That was genius, come on, huh? And I think when it comes to DIYs, that's like 50% of the job, right? Just being creative. If I remember correctly, all I did with this cord was actually just wrap it around it. I don't think it was secured at all, which is good because that means it should come off really easily. Now the other thing that I actually dislike about this, which is nothing we can really fix, is that I put this stake in the center of the pot, which is annoying because now I can't really use the pot in itself as another plant stand. That is something that was a little bit nicer with the Soltec solution, because the Soltec solution has like a flat base, so it's kind of a plant stand in itself. So that's kind of a missed opportunity over here for me, but maybe I can somehow fix that regardless. Or it would need to be a small plant. I have also contemplated putting some pots on here and putting some smaller plants in there, so it's kind of a plant stand on top of it being a light stand, right? But haven't decided yet if that's something I'm gonna do today or not. Anyway, let me speed this up for you a bit. You see how dodgily that was mounted on there? Okay, so there's two different Soltec lights on here actually. One is the generation 1, one is the generation 2. I will update it so that they're both the same. I have two generation 2 lights. I will put both of them on this and then have the generation 1 separately. The main feature is that generation 2 is dimmable. And I think I want to keep this there, and this is going to be the most in our face. So I think having the ability to dim both of them is going to give me a nicer aesthetic in this room in particular. I wanted to ask you something actually, because I kind of really enjoy DIY projects. While I'm not very good at the DIY part or the knowledge part and the actual DIY aspect, I'm not that good at. As I mentioned, I think I'm quite creative in my thinking, and I do think I have a good sense of aesthetic most of the time. But obviously any of my DIY videos are not like a tutorial, right? Like my DIY videos are hopefully entertaining at best and maybe inspirational, stuff like that. They're certainly not instructional. Please don't ever follow any of my advice in any of my DIY videos. But I would actually really love to maybe do a few more DIY videos on my channel. Now, I've done some short videos in collaboration with Bunnings last year, and maybe I'll put some in now so you can see kind of what work I've been doing with Bunnings on DIY projects.
Super simple hack to elevate your pot game. These DIY hourglass pots look good and bring your plants closer to your eyes so you can really admire their beautiful foliage. Obviously I'm headed straight to my local Bunnings. They have a large variety of pots available, so choosing a favorite is actually the hardest part of this DIY. I personally prefer very simple, elegant pots in just white so the pot doesn't distract from the plants themselves. This range came in 4 different sizes, which is perfect, but there's something for every taste here. Different colors, textures, sizes, shapes, materials, and so on. I'm taking the white ones with me, and I'm also picking up some liquid nails to secure it all. And it is really just that simple. All you need is a bit of patience to let it dry before putting the pots back. The end result doesn't just look so much better, it also elevates the plant to be closer to the grow light. Happy days! And if you decide to give this a go, tag me in your posts. Making this outdoor coffee table is probably my favorite DIY ever. After months of trying to find a nice table to buy, we decided to get creative. Off to our local Bunnings to find suitable pots that could be turned into a table base. Perfect. Now onto a tabletop. That's when I realized this DIY is meant to be. This couldn't fit any better. Quickly getting some liquid nails before heading back. First up, let's glue the pots together. Also a perfect fit. While that's drying, we can tackle the top. Finding the middle of that circle was harder than expected. We drill a hole for a pot to go in later, sand it, clean it, and prime it. Quick walkies while we're waiting for that to dry. And to stop the top from sliding off the base, we just nailed in cable clips and it worked. We're matching the tabletop to the fence and luckily had some of that paint left over. Once fully assembled, I could not believe how easy that was and how good the end result looks, especially with a plant in it. Thank you Bunnings for coming through with the goods to help us upgrade our coffee table. This is how I turned a pot into a water feature. It all started at my local Bunnings. They sell water features, but we really wanted to make our own so that we can easily plantify it. The idea is to use the tray that came with the pot as a base to build an aquascape on, and then use a big tub as a water reservoir within the pot. We feed the host through the tray and use rocks and plants to build the aquascape. But the first attempt was too heavy, so in the second attempt we replaced some of the rocks with styrofoam and glued rocks on there. But that looked terrible. So third time's the charm, we use styrofoam and expandable foam to build a base layer and then sprinkle smaller pebbles on the foam just before it hardens. We also build up a little waterfall towards the back. Then adding some pebbles to make it look good and hiding our mistakes with a little bit of paint. Nobody will know. Then the moment of truth. We put the structure into the planter, top up the water, and ta-da! It works. As a bonus, we added a light so it also looks good at night.
Now, there is obviously an element of plantiness involved in all of them, right? So all of my DIY projects still end up revolving around plants, like a table with plants, a water feature with plants, a light stand for plants, a pot for plants, and so on. And as you also saw, most of these I just did with somewhat basic tools, right? I don't have crazy tools and so on. So I really enjoy those, and it would give me a little bit more flexibility. It would give me a little bit more variety in the content that I can produce as well. But I'm not too sure how you guys feel about this. Is that something that you'd be interested in watching? Again, not from an instructional perspective, really just would you find that entertaining? Would you find that funny? I think it's definitely funnier if Tim would help me with my DIYs, which most of the time he does anyway. So I don't know, I feel like it would be a cool thing to do and something to branch out into, so that I also keep this interesting for myself, right? I mean, I've been talking about plants for a long time, and don't get me wrong, I love talking about plants. But at some stage I also want to switch it up a little bit and maybe not just talk about moss poles 3 times a week and so on. So, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Or would you want to watch other content, like what other content that is not strictly planty, which you kind of enjoy seeing from me? I tried travel vlogs, and I do love making the travel vlogs, and the Thailand travel vlogs performed quite okay, but overall traveling is very expensive, so it is not something I can do very often because I do not recoup the costs via my video, right? So making travel videos would actually cost me money instead of making money, so it is only something I can do when I'm actually wanting to go on a holiday anyway. It was not a business savvy idea to do that. So I thought maybe some DIY content or some, I don't know. I mean, I would love to have a renovation channel, to be honest, but I don't have a house to renovate, so I would have to stick to some smallish DIYs. Oh my god, my shoulders are gonna hurt. Maybe it's gonna become a workout channel. DIYs are kind of a workout, to be honest. Most of the DIY projects we do in Tim's house as well, because, well, he owns, so he has much more flexibility and freedom with what he can do and what he can't do, and things are more permanent, so it makes more sense to DIY something. Because I don't think DIY is always the solution for things, right? I do think that at times there's companies that do things professionally, they know what they're doing, they're gonna do it at a much higher standard, and it's probably gonna look much neater and cleaner. And DIYs don't always need to be cheap as well. Sometimes it costs a lot of money for the products, especially if you mess up and you might need to purchase a few products twice. It costs you more money. Time is also valuable, right? So if I spend a lot of time doing something, I could use that time filming a video and then use the money that I made with the video to purchase that item instead. So I don't think DIY is always the solution, but I think there's times when DIY comes in really handy. For example, if you need a custom solution for something, right? Where it's just like, okay, it doesn't really exist in the marketplace, but I need something that specifically fits my needs. Or if you want to take something like a table, but you want to plantify it because it might just not exist, because you want to customize it to your planty needs or your planty likings and so on. If I would want to create a plant stand that is white, elegant and made out of aluminium, then I would rather purchase the one that has been professionally made instead of me trying to attempt that, you know what I mean? But, well, it didn't exist at the time. But I do think DIY is just a skill that needs to be exercised, and the more I do it, the better I'll get at it, the more I'll enjoy it, and maybe the better my results are as well, right? So I think it's definitely a skill I would love to practice. So this see-through bracket over here, that is actually the bracket that came with my original Soltec light that I have for many years now. This is the one that can't be dimmed. Did this come with instructions? So I just need to screw in this plate. Look at me. Okay, I suppose over here I'll just aim for the middle maybe. Let's aim for the middle, huh? And is this straight? Good enough. I'm drilling into wood. And these screws are definitely going to be too long, they'll stick out at the end. But actually that was the case with the last one as well. So I'll put the little twine around it again. I can't do anything about it, and I don't want it to be any lower, because if I go any lower then the lights hang lower as well. Which is not what I want. Look at me, professionally putting the nail in my mouth. Shit, I need like way more than 2 hands. Ow! Shit, they're sharp, okay. Why did I even mark the hole? I don't get it. I think I should pre-drill the hole a little bit, right? Does this go in by itself? I think they should go in by themselves, no? Maybe I don't have enough power. But by now I would have pre-drilled the hole already, no? I don't know what all these settings mean. Don't think this was the right setting. But that's okay, we've got it. Do you need like more drive or less? Less maybe. I'm messing up the screw. Oh guys, I know you in the comment section I'm probably already screaming. Like, don't do this! Okay, let's drill a hole then after all. Which direction, huh? Not this one. And yes, I know it's coming out the other end, you don't need to tell me. That was always the plan. It's always designed to come out the other end, exactly like that. I think I messed up that screw. Oh well, it's in for the rest of its life now. So it's definitely in securely though. Okay, now, ow! Screw over here actually. I don't know how secure that is. Okay, it's very secure. This is exactly what I wanted. The only thing that I don't like is that the whole thing is tilting forward a little bit, but I think that's the overall bar, right? I think the bar isn't 100% level anymore these days. Now the idea is that I still cover the whole thing later, because I think this metal isn't... Is the metal looking bad? It doesn't look bad, but it looks like a towel rack, huh? So what I want to do is, and I want to have them quite high. Yeah, I want to have them hanging as high as possible. So what I'll do is I'll just put this up here. Hold that in place here, just for now. And then the exact same thing here. Ow, these screws are annoying, but what I've kind of used these screws at the back for, I'm using them to neatly redirect the cables downwards. So they almost came in handy to, you know, make the cable turn the corner. The concept works, right? I can bring them closer together, which obviously makes no sense because you want to increase the area that it illuminates, so I can move them apart all the way to here, right? Now I'm gonna try and somehow also make sure that they stay at the end, because the further apart they are, the more area they'll illuminate, right? The other thing I can obviously play with is I can twist this up again and then it is higher. Okay, I just used a cable tie to kind of keep the light over there at the end without it constantly wanting to go back here. Let's start off over here. Okay, wrapping the twine around the stick was the best decision ever. Now I kind of like that with this cable wrapped around it, it gives it a little bit of like a wavy pattern, which you'll see in the end. It's kind of silly I'm doing it from this side, right? Because this is not the side that we're gonna get to see most of the time. It kind of looks good, no? Oh my god, my arm. Definitely don't need to go to the gym, but I should switch the arm around. Okay, how do we feel about this? I mean, it's not pretty, but I think it could be worse, right? I think I could have maybe made it a little denser, but it looks more organic than the metal. I'm not saying it looks good. Maybe I can now cut this black cable tie over here. So at least one less thing that makes it look ugly. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Alrighty, I think I'm done. Let me change your battery and we can look at this monstrosity in a little more detail. Anyway, I also just had an idea. I've seen I don't think I'm pronouncing this right. I don't think I'm even pronouncing it. I'll put it on screen. I saw him do this before. He uses very similar lights to those. He's got his own brand. But really, one of the things that I don't love about this setup is that, yes, it gives me the flexibility to move the lights this way. I can technically, well, I'm a little too far into this process now, but technically with the height of the string, I can lower them and so on. The one thing I can't really change is the impact angle, right? And maybe when I turn it on, it will make more sense. Okay. Oh my god, look how good they are. This is full. Like, look how much light they make. Here, sorry. I mean, look at the floor. Look at the amount of light that this creates. Now, obviously, if I now move them a bit closer, which obviously I knew that the mechanism was not going to be impacted by all of my all of my weird things. Kind of worked. Now obviously there's way more light over here, not so much light over here, right? You can see on my hands, not much light on my hands, lots of lights on my hands. Lots of lights on my hands. Okay. What I was talking about earlier with the impact angle was that, okay, what if I don't want the light to come straight down? What if I want to have my plant here and I want the light to come from the front? So let's say this way instead of hanging down, right? So that way, first of all, look at my hand, it gets much brighter, but also look at the light on the floor. Now it's there, so it's close to the couch, it's close to my dining table, and when you're sitting on the couch or the dining table, you're obviously a little bit lower. So this is kind of a bit blinding, but if I could tilt this away from me, it wouldn't be as blinding. Works well with plants as well, having a display side from the front, right? Because leaves will face the light, so if the light comes a little bit more from the front, then these plants are facing more forward. Whereas over here, I would choose more clustery plants. Maybe I'll turn it down a little bit so it's not so bright while I'm working on it. There you go. So I'm not so blinded. Whew, much better. This one is from like a fishing hook, not fishing hook, picture rail. I think I used to have my heavy mirror hanging on these. I used to have picture rails at home. But this one comes with a little hook, which kind of could hook into these slots. No, too big. I was hoping that maybe it would fit in one of these gaps, because then you could just easily hook it, right? All I would need is over here something to hook this into. Okay, that's not working. The other thing is, I was thinking I could play with something like this because it has a little hook. Now I could put this on here, right? And then that enables me to hook something into it anytime I want, but I could easily go back and forth. But I'm not too sure if this, because this will produce a little bit of heat once they're on. Not too sure if this is the right solution with that, but maybe I could secure this over here, and then I have fishing line from here to hook into here. Because these are like little gaps on the side of the light that, yeah, there we go, see, for aeration. So what I could do is fishing line is so hard to make ties into, right, isn't it? And now, by just tilting this over here, I can change the impact angle, right? Would just be good if I can hook this into something over here, so I can easily take it off without having to always like redo it, if you know what I mean. Ta-da! When I said 50 minutes craft, I meant it. The Soltec light comes with little clips that you can use to mount it on the ceiling and have it hanging, and then do some cable management and so on. So I was thinking, this one you drill in like this, then obviously over here have a perfect hook to hook some of the fishing line in, right? So I could do that, but it would be sticking out quite a bit, right? Then I have this that I can drill in here, and because of the nature of the round pole, I suppose what it would do is and these will go on top, what it will do is it will create little gaps over here that I can just hook it into. So I think this might be a little bit more unintrusive. Alrighty, have a look at what I've done. I just drilled this in here. Now the idea was actually for me to just make this into a loop, so I can just put it on there and take it off all the time. I tightened the fishing line a little bit too much and I can't get it off. But that's okay. If I ever want to change the angle of those, I can always just do a new fishing line, right? That's not an issue. But I also found these cable management things that came with the Soltec light, so I thought I will drill some of these in here as well. I mean, now that I'm so good at drilling, might as well, no? Oh, hang on, I didn't think this through. Oh, okay. So if I tilt them forward, the backwards tilt is a little bit more intense. Then also keep in mind I can change this actually. If this knot is lower, it will be less intense. I think I will have it pretty much like this. How do you feel about this? Look, it does look great, right? But I think it looks a little bit better than before, and we have certainly increased the functionality, huh? Now, I think I have to go downstairs to get the last thing that I want to try. I'm back. It does make me laugh every time I see it, and honestly the fishing line is not as unintrusive as I thought, but it will make a difference. Like even for you right now, you're not blinded by the light as much as initially, right? I'm just glad the whole thing actually holds. That was actually my main concern, I forgot about it. I found these pots at Bunnings and I'm pretty sure they were a whopping $2 each. So I figured, okay, even if I don't end up using them for this project, it's not too much of an expense to stomach. Right? Now what I specifically like about them is that I can pop the bottom out over here so it can drain wherever it is, and then I can pop it back. Because I'm not planning on doing some elaborate way of fixing it on there. The maximum I could do would be to drill it on there, right? So imagine I could drill this straight into the pole over here, but then, you know, obviously the idea would be to take a plant put it in here in a nursery pot, take it out of here for watering. But if I'm ever too lazy to water in here and there's excess water, I could just pop this thing out. Obviously it would totally come out in that moment. Put a bucket under and so be it. I wouldn't have to tilt the whole stand, right? But I'm not too sure if I want this. I haven't decided. So I have 5 of them. The idea was kind of to just have them left, right, left, right, left, right. Let me see what I could even put in there. I have these vases that I've been propagating for years now. I don't really have any plants. That could be cute, right? So they're all intertwined, but imagine like this. Could be cute. Let's try that. Let me actually quickly check what pot fits in here best. I'll be back. So this green pot is actually the perfect fit, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's a gap down below. So if I put this in here, it's going to drain into the bottom of this pot. Perfect, right? So I don't have to worry about overwatering. I don't always have to take it out. I can just water it. And if I provide a little bit too much volume of water, it's just going to accumulate there without me having to worry about it. Perfect setup. Also just found this one in my greenhouse. It's not liking it in there anyway, so see, I totally didn't expect this to take the whole day, but I'm kind of really enjoying it. Oh my god, look at this. This is all one cutting. I did not take that long of a cutting. It all just grew. I hope you can even see me. If you can't see me, I'm currently just separating all of the water propagations. Sorry, you couldn't see anything. Can't do everything, filming and DIYing. Basically, I separated out 2 lots of Pothos and Joy and some Global Green, but I wanted to start with the Pothos and Joy first. They grow nice and slowly as well, so it's kind of perfect for a setup like that. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to kind of twist them around in the pot so they're not so super leggy from the get-go, but rather they're lush, and that also means that roots like these, for example, can now make contact with the substrate. It looks a bit messy now, but the plant will find its own way. Second lot. And the exact same over here. See all of these roots? I'm just going to twist it in there so they can all make contact with the substrate. There you go. Global Green Pothos. Kind of cute. Alrighty, last one. Let me water them and clean up and I'll be back. Alrighty, so we have 5. Hang on. Can you tell I'm really organized? Okay, so I'm thinking, can't be too high, otherwise the light isn't really reaching it, but we're also having trailing plants, so the plants are going to go over the edge, so actually ignore what I just said. So I think we can hang it, even over here would maybe distract a little bit from all of this, so I think from here, and I wouldn't hang the lowest one too low because then it just hangs over the edge of the pot, which is actually not too bad. So let's say we've got about 160 centimeters to play with. Divided by 5. Say 150. So 1 every 30 centimeters, approximately. Let's just do 1 and then we'll decide on the spacing. Oh, it would be so much nicer if I wouldn't have to change the drill bit all the time. Ah shit, should I have put a hole in here? Probably. Okay, change the drill bit again. Yeah, having the right setting really makes the difference, guys. While I'm here, might as well just do this. Oh my goodness, getting so good at this, huh? Okay, apart from the fact that the thing is dirty. I mean, come on, it's a freaking planter. That's cute, no? So from here, around 30 centimeters would be around here. And then 30 centimeters would be around here. And then here. And last one here. And they don't need to be exact 100% symmetrical. I just want a little bit of left, right, left, right. They don't need to be like in a line. It's actually nicer if they're not in a line, I think. Hallelujah. Let me quickly clean up around me and then we can finally put the plants in here and then hopefully it looks good. That would be great. That would actually be ideal. That would be my preference. Alrighty, here it is. Let's bring in the plants. Alright, now I want to show you a few options because I do have a few trailing plants that are currently already accounted for, and I think they're in my mother forest, which is at the entry, which is kind of the first thing that I see. So I want to keep them there, but I just wanted to show you the concept over here. Like this Maranta, for example, is nicely growing at this stage already. I think that's the kind of plant that would look best in this sort of stand. I have another beautiful Maranta over here. Like imagine this one here, this one there. I think I have a third one. This one here. I mean, you get the gist, right? This would look really good. Oh, actually really good. I really like this. I think that looks really good, but I want to put the Marantas back to where they came from because that's the main thing that I see when I walk in. And I've really, they've enjoyed their life there, and I really enjoy looking at them. So let's not fix what's not broken. And instead we put these kind of smaller plants. But look, it's going to be fine. We just need to give them time to grow in, right? Whenever you set up a planty installation or whatever, very rarely does it look good straight away. It's like a garden, right? You're setting it up and then you need to give the plants time to grow. Imagine it would already be full by now. Hang on, where's the last one? Oh, I didn't get a last one. I'm missing one. Maybe I'll just pop this one in here. It's like a little pop of color. I think that will be cute. There you go, good enough. If it was already full, setting it up, then it would be boring, right? Because then, well, it's already outgrown its new setup. This way, I give it plenty of time to grow into it. Now, definitely a disadvantage over here is that the light is coming from above, which obviously means that these two get the most. This one will get good light once it starts trailing. But down here, they aren't getting all too much light. But I think it will be fine. I'm not aiming for maturity. I'm not aiming for speed of growth over here. I really just wanted to hide the pole a little bit more and take advantage of having this setup in the first place. But I'm also going to put this back into the corner over there and then group other plants around it. And then this might actually be a little bit too messy, or there might be too much happening over here depending on how the other plants fit in with this arrangement. So let me put it back there and then truly assess what's going on, which means I should probably get rid of the plants, right? Oh my god, it's getting so dark as well. I'm gonna move this underneath to straighten it up. Okay, I'm gonna have them dimmed while I work on this. So I like this one over here because the hot air goes down, and this one is too low. It's not touched by the hot air, whereas anything that's a little bit taller than this kind of just swings in the hot air, which is obviously also really dry coming out of the heater, and we have this on a lot, kind of non-stop, to be honest. I only had it off right now because I'm moving around and getting hot and sweaty as it is. I do want to rearrange this whole corner a little bit, to be honest, but I might just wait till spring when a bunch of these plants are moving back out. See what I mean? This plant, for example, now is very much exactly where a lot of these pots will be now, so that it might actually look a bit messy. So I might not fill all of them actually. I think this will look good. Oh, I was actually able to get this hook off. So I can point it down, which I think I like better for now. I think I want to get rid of this hook over here as well. Okay, so that hook mechanism worked in the end. I just think the way that I'm setting it up right now, it works better with the light coming from straight above. But if I change the setup eventually, it will be good to have that hook to just be able to change the light if you want to. I wish these would be a little bit longer, to be honest, but I suppose the longer they are, the heavier it is, the more likely the whole thing is gonna fall out. So I'm not mad at this at all, actually. And then this is my Florida Ghost, which is currently just living here, kind of taking advantage of all of this light over here. So I kind of ended up with the same 90-degree angle that I had initially, because I suppose it wasn't wrong. And I mean, the setup was working for my plants over here, the way that it is. But I'm just giving future Jan the opportunity to at all times move them further away, tilt them and so on. So I've got more functionality built in, and I do think it looks a little bit better than before. A little bit. Alrighty, I cleaned up a little bit. I added the alocasia over here just to fill that gap a little bit as well. I'm liking the way that it looks, but I also know that on camera it just looks way too bright. So let me bring you a bit closer. With my phone. Alrighty, here it is. I definitely think at least having both of the arms match is a significant increase in aesthetics. And let me show you what I mean by the little hook thing earlier. So I just took the fishing line over here, and I can at all times, if I wanted to, use this little hook at the back over here. But for now not needed, so I can just store it on here. Conveniently hooks into this side piece as well. Hang on, I need two hands. There you go. Alrighty, I just hooked it back on there, so it's kind of stored for future use. So I don't need to redo it all the time. I can just take it on and off. And yeah, I'm not too sure where this actually comes from, this damage. I think I might have left it in the sun for too long when I took it outside for watering, but that's okay. Obviously this is shading this a little bit. It just looks a little bit messy when it comes to the actual plants that are on display over here, but keep in mind this is my winter setup, and my winter setup, usually I have about double the amount of plants in here. So a lot of these plants will go outside during spring, like this one. I think this one will go out as well, and then other plants will go out, and then everything gets rearranged. It looks a little bit messy in here, but yeah, at least they're surviving. That's the goal. What I want to do though is I want to raise the whole thing to go as high as possible so that it illuminates a large area, or as large of an area as possible. So I will put this pot down here on a little stand. The other thing I want to do is I want to replace this Soltech Vita light bulb in an IKEA lamp with the other one on the professional stand over here, because I feel like it would be less intrusive over here. You don't see this big light shade, a lampshade over there. But that is also a project for another day, because I am so exhausted, and by now, I don't know if you can see that through the window, it is almost dark outside. So this took way longer than expected, but to be honest, I was just planning on switching the arms around. I think I exceeded my expectations on cable management. I exceeded my expectations on having this little hook mechanism, and I wasn't actually planning on putting pots on there either. But you can see by now the pots are pretty much all kind of hidden, but that's okay. I have some shade loving plants in there. I don't think they'll mind being a little hidden, but I'm not expecting the plants that I put in there to actually really shoot the lights out or anything like that. I reckon they'll just very gradually grow in here. But you know what? They were in a jar of water for at least a year or a year and a half or something like that. So not like I had any other plans with them. Anyway, let's wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this little DIY project. It was definitely chaotic, but that's the way I do DIY, and I hope you enjoy that sort of style. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. Should I do more DIY content? If yes, what would you like to see? Do you have any suggestions for me? Also, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!